Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Great Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Well, here it is, another Wednesday, and today we have for you a very serious topic. Very serious. And that is the Kavanaugh hearing. It was an embarrassment to this country, I believe. It was an embarrassment that Kavanaugh was elected to the Supreme Court. This is a shameful act. It's a shameful act that they didn't believe the victim. And I for one, am very, very upset and very mournful. It's a disgrace, and I mourn this country that Kavanaugh was allowed to get in, and I can't reconcile myself with it. Now, as you all may know, what happened was that Christine Ford came forward and accused Kavanaugh, and there were two other women. Two other women accused him of sexual assault. But Christine Ford came forward and said that she had been sexually assaulted by him. He cornered her in a room with his friend, and he began feeling her up. He began feeling up Christine Ford and touching her body all over, and he pinned her against a bed or some other of the wall and started grinding into her. He started grinding into her, and she tried to push him away, and she tried to scream, and when she tried to scream, he put his hand over her mouth to stifle her scream, and she was so terrified, and this was a trauma for her. She was only 15, and I think he was 18, and the rest of her life she was traumatized by this event and didn't come forward with it for some reason, probably because she was afraid of him and was afraid of going to the authorities because she didn't think they would be supportive. Now, they chose not to believe the victim. It was a he said, she said. He said he didn't do it. She said he did it. And they chose to believe him over the victim just because they're Republicans. And this sort of partisanship is shameful because it wasn't like a regular hearing. It wasn't just him on trial for doing this thing. That wasn't what this was. This was a hearing into his reputation, his integrity and ability to serve on the Supreme Court of the United States. That's a pretty big position. And he flunked the test. He failed the test of whether he was credible or not. And he should have never been elected to the Supreme Court, because if there was even a question of his morality, if there was even a question of whether he had done this thing or not, he should have never been elected to the Supreme Court. But they elected him because they're all Republicans. Just because they're Republicans, are conservatives, as they like to call themselves, as they like to style themselves. Just because they were all Republicans, they all voted for him. They all voted him in. And this should never have happened. This is a disgrace to this country, and I, for one, am very upset about this event. Now, you know that this shouldn't have happened, but it happened anyway. They elected him to the Supreme Court. They all the Republicans and one Democrat for some reason, all took his side over hers and elected him to the Supreme Court of the United States. If there was even a question of his integrity, Trump should have picked another candidate. Number one, he should have picked another candidate. Number two, they should have believed the victim over him, because you should always believe the victim when she says that something's wrong, you should believe her. And number three, if there was even a question of his integrity, they shouldn't have voted for him. So, so those three things plus many more make this a total disgrace, a total sham for this country. And Trump was questioned about it. He was questioned about Kavanaugh the day after Kavanaugh was elected to the Supreme Court. And they said, "What do you think of this?" And he said, "It's over. We won. End of story." And he also said that I think he compared the Kavanaugh hearings to some other thing that was and something about, I don't know if it was North Korea. I don't remember, but the things that he's been saying are outrageous as usual, because he likes to create outrage. He thinks, what can I do that would be the most outrageous thing to say to outrage people? And then he says it. So Trump, as usual, trying to outrage people, trying to be as annoying as possible, and Republicans loving it and eating it up, and everybody on Kavanaugh's side in the Republican camp. It's just shameful, shameful bipartisanship. And women are finding out. They're finding out what Republicans are really like. And it's hard to be a conservative who's been sexually assaulted or raped, because they do not care about women. This is the way that these Republicans are. They do not care about women or their lives or their children. All they care about is men. That's all they care about. They don't care about whether a woman's been raped or sexually assaulted. They just don't care. They only care about winning, quote unquote. They are losers. They're total losers, that they think they've won, but they lost because next time around they'll have to be a woman, and they'll have to go through this horrible trauma of being sexually assaulted or raped. And they'll have no other choice, because they did not believe the victim, and so it's their karma. They're making plenty of karma for themselves right now, but it eventually will go away or dissipate as more and more women are sexually assaulted. Eventually, they'll all learn their lesson, but it'll take a hell of a long time for them to learn their lesson, because there's so many of them. Look how many Republicans there are. They're all fallen angels, and they're all stuck here on earth, and they all think that they're holier than thou, and they're going to find out otherwise. They're going to find out differently. So again, total disgrace on this country, and a very bad situation. I'm Sarah Jane Alphawolf, signing off. Don't let Trump or the Kavanaugh election get to you, and just remember that he doesn't belong there in the Supreme Court, and a whole generation is going to have to pay for